Hello, I'm Colleen Gallagher, CEO at Onward and Upward, and you're listening to the Association 100 Podcast, where each week we interview association leaders from across the country to hear how they're trying new things, taking big risks, and delivering value for their members. We'll explore the realities of what it means to work in and with associations and bring you the insights and inspiration you need to advance your career and make big changes at your association. Let's get started. Welcome back to the A100 Podcast. I'm your host, Colleen Gallagher, and I'm really excited for today's conversation. Alan Sparkman, the Executive Director of the Tennessee Concrete Association, is joining us. And Alan has served as the Executive Director of TCA since 1998. In July of 2016, Alan was recognized by the Tennessee Society of Association Executives as their 2015 Association Executive of the Year. He regularly teaches concrete industry professional courses across the U.S., and I've been so fortunate to get to work with Alan for a little over 3 years now, and what I love most about him is he is so forward-thinking and innovative and always looking to do what's next and what's coming. So, Alan, thank you so much for joining us on the A100 today.
You are very welcome.
So to start out, I'd love for you to tell our listeners a little bit about TCA. Who do you serve and what's your mission?
Sure. We're a 501c6 trade association. And so we serve the entire state of Tennessee, the concrete industry. And we literally have members from Memphis to Mountain City. So we definitely cover the entire state. We work, as many trade associations do, in a number of areas. So we help with regulatory assistance, permitting for members. We do some technical assistance. Probably one of the things that we do that's a little different, we also do some research. We've done a lot of different research projects over the years focused on concrete, and we work with Tennessee universities on those projects. I think that's been really productive in a number of ways for us. We manage industry certifications for all the folks in Tennessee. So we have a very active certification program that we do, and we're conducting classes almost every week throughout the year. So that's a really important service, not just to ready-mix producers, but to the entire industry.
Yeah, I think you guys really set a gold standard for state association in terms of all the areas you're providing support in, and that research does really stand out. Plus the certifications, it's an awful lot going on. One thing that across the industry we work, every single one of our clients is saying we need to help our members with workforce, and clearly no different with you all. So how has workforce development really fit into what you're doing as an association?
It's probably our key strategic focus right now, and has been for a few years. And this problem is not new. I think people have been talking about workforce for more than a decade. I also think we've been kidding ourselves. We first started out looking for excuses, which generally you could boil that down to people just don't want to work anymore. And then we'd often tag a generational slur, if you will, onto that.
Yes.
That was just denial, was what that was. And today, what's so interesting to me and so sobering is when you look at the demographics of our country, this workforce crisis is going to be with us for the next generation or two. This is not going to go away. We've had a couple of periods of time where we thought it was going to get better. In our industry, the Great Recession back in around 2010 obviously reduced the need for people, but what that really did was mask the problem. And so coming out of that, and we're really starting to see this now, baby boomers, my generation, are retiring at record rates. We used to be by far the largest cohort in the workforce. Today, we're the fourth smallest. So we've dropped from 1 to 4. And if you look at the people who are coming in the other end of the pipeline to fill those positions, there's just not enough of them. And our country is not alone in this. This is actually a global problem. But we haven't had enough kids, basically, to replace those of us who are retiring, let alone providing businesses with the workforce they need to grow their individual business. And it's just, it truly is a crisis. We hear that a lot, but I just think you can't overstate that enough. And that's not my opinion. That's what the numbers say. So as we started to realize that we have unique challenges, every industry has unique challenges in terms of attracting workforce. And I think our industry has done some good things to try to change some of the barriers, perhaps, that we were putting up. We're still working on that. But it became really clear at the board level that this needed attention. So we started looking for ways we could somehow influence that, particularly on the recruiting side. How could we get more young people to look at the concrete industry as a potential career choice? We've been working on that probably for 4 or 5 years. That's been our top priority, and that's remains the same today.
Yeah. And you've done a lot of really exciting initiatives around this, which is what I love to see, because I do think, like you said, it's the truth. It's not your opinion. This is just the matter of the numbers of people working. And so there are so many issues facing this, but I think in a lot of spaces, there's just a lot of talk about it and not necessarily a lot of action. So what I love is when I'm with you and your board, to see you talking about how to address this, to see what you're doing and to see these initiatives is really, it's heartwarming in a way, because it's a move towards fixing a problem and how do we solve this for our industry. So can you give me a quick overview of what the programs you have are, and then we can dive into specifically what they are a little deeper?
Sure. And I think in some ways, we're very fortunate to be in Tennessee. The governor, our current governor, Bill Lee, comes from the trades. He has a large established heating and air conditioning business, and he understands the needs of all the trades, the construction industry. So Tennessee may have a little more focus on this than some other states. One of the first things we did was to get involved with a program called Be Pro, Be Proud Tennessee, which is an initiative with 12 or maybe 15 different associations, construction, agriculture, farming. So it's a pretty wide swath of associations, and it's a statewide program. And it's taken the message to primarily high school students, occasionally to some middle schools, but it's taken the message that, hey, there's great career opportunities in the world of the frontline worker, is what I often call it. And we try to introduce young people and their parents to what those opportunities are. So that was our first program, if you want to say. And of course, we're doing that with a lot of other folks, but it's been incredibly successful in Tennessee. We're in our second year of the program. This year, we'll reach probably 15,000 high school students with a positive message about careers in the trades and other, non-college opportunities. So that's working out really well. As we looked at that, that's a really broad message. And a lot of those opportunities are not in the concrete industry. Pragmatically or selfishly, we were looking for ways to, now that we had this audience of young people who have self-selected to show interest in these types of careers, what can we do to draw them closer to the concrete industry? We launched a program really this year that we call Concrete Quest, targeted at high school students. It's an online, something that kids can do on their phone. Of course, it's 100% voluntary. And it's essentially learning more about the basics of concrete. The kids sign up, they go into the game platform. We've partnered with a company called Rocket Start for a gamification platform, which is pretty cool. And they go in, answer questions, basically take some quizzes. And as they advance through the game, they can earn prizes. And we have now well over 100 kids that have signed up for that. And really this fall school semester, we're really pleased about that. And now we're focusing, and you're helping us do this, on ways that we can get more after they sign up to actually go through and complete some of the lessons. We've had a couple of students that have already completed it, which is great. I'm just really excited about the potential that brings. And even if all those people that go through the game don't end up working in the concrete industry, they will have learned a lot about our product. And I strongly believe that's positive no matter where they end up working.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's been really cool to see the engagement, the excitement around it. Let's go back to Be Pro, Be Proud.
for people that don't know, what's so cool about this is it's a truck, this big truck that goes to these schools. I got to go on it and I got to feel what it's like to just drive a concrete truck. So the thing I'd never ever done. It was so neat. And there's obviously all different kinds of trades you can experience. But take me through what these kids get to do on this truck when they see it come to their school, and how you think it impacts their view of what the trades are.
First of all, the truck is free to the schools. There's no cost to the schools. So those of us who are sponsors or founding council members, that's part of what we do, is help raise the money to keep the truck on the road. And in rough terms, that's $1 million a year commitment. Literally, it's an expensive endeavor, but it's incredibly powerful. And so when the truck pulls up, I like to say it's like the Transformer movies. The truck pulls up and slide outs come out, and it turns into this really neat mobile classroom. And inside the classroom, we sponsored it's a full commercial level truck driving simulator, which is what you got to do. And it really is like being in the cab.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing experience. A lot of companies use those for training.
Cool.
So it's not a game, it's an actual business tool.
Yep.
There's 2 other heavy equipment simulators, maybe 3 now. Same thing. These are professional level simulators that can be used for actual on the job training. So the young people get to go in and sit down and try these out, so they can drive a truck, they can run an excavator, they can operate a bulldozer, all that kind of stuff. And then there's other stations for many of the other trades, so welding, or some HVAC stuff. It's just an amazing experience. It gives them a taste firsthand of what it could be like to do these kinds of jobs. And then also there's information, and a lot of this is frankly targeted toward the parents, about the financial opportunities in those different trades. So it's been, as you might expect, it's a really popular thing. Right now we're scheduling pretty much a full semester in advance. And we may be at the point in the not too distant future where we look at putting another truck on the road to meet the demand. But it's been a really effective way to get this message in front of the next generation of workers.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I do think that telling the story part is so important, because there is a misperception, I think, among a lot of people of, can this be a career? And it can be a really, successful and help take care of your family career. So I think that's a big piece of that message. And you had shared with us the HR Dive article that showed from last year to this year that Gen Z kids considering trades as a potential career path has gone from 12% to 55% in 1 year. And I know that's a national stat, but still, I think the Be Pro, Be Proud initiative has probably been a big part of helping move that needle and show kids what a viable, amazing career this could be.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, again, this is a dual message to the young people and then also to their parents.
Yeah.
And we're trying to overcome this inertia that we created ourselves, our society, with thou must go to college mentality. Now, I'm a college graduate. I don't know that I even had a choice. It was predetermined that I was going to go. I don't regret it. But a lot has changed since I was in college. And you look at the cost of college today, and you look at how rapidly the work environment changes. So it'd be interesting. Somebody may have done this study, but I bet if you went out and interviewed 40-year-olds who are mid-career and asked them how many of them are working in the field in which they got their degree, I bet the majority would be working outside of their degree field. It's because things have changed and are changing so rapidly. And the cost of college, which no news to anybody, it's insane what it costs to go to a 4-year college, even a state school, let alone the Ivy League or something else. So the economics of that are not nearly as powerful as they once were.
Yeah.
And the economics of going to work in a trade have also shifted very favorably. So I was talking to one of my members this week. I was conducting a certification class for them. These are concrete installers, people who take concrete, place it, pour slabs, big warehouses, all that kind of stuff. He's got folks, and this is not uncommon, but a lot of his crew, most of them do not have college degrees. And a lot of his, particularly senior guys, are making six figures. This is it's a very significant career opportunity, and everybody else, they need more people. So it's not just the very few that can do that. That's really available to anybody that has a work ethic and enjoys working with their hands. The financial rewards are substantial.
Yeah, absolutely. And staying on that theme of ushering the new workforce and the next generation, you talked about Concrete Quest, and it really is a very creative approach to engage this younger audience. And you've worked with Rocket Start to create this very cool app that has this game that lets them play. So what was the inspiration behind this initiative? And you've already reached 100 students. So what's next with it? And how are you hoping this will engage students to become more interested in working in concrete?
One of the other steps that got us from, let's say, Be Pro, Be Proud to Concrete Quest, which I left out, was this program called Skate for Concrete. And we started that 2 years ago. Now, this is a really interesting program. It was developed at the national level, and it's this very unlikely partnership between the Tony Hawk Foundation, which many people will recognize. Tony Hawk is perhaps the most famous skateboarder, certainly of his generation. But his foundation and the Concrete Advancement Foundation partnered to fund the development of a curriculum. It's really a Concrete 101 curriculum, but it uses skate parks as the delivery system, the hook, because a lot of young people enjoy skating. This curriculum came out now 2 or 3 years ago. Of course, I learned about it through concrete industry, and I thought this is a great way for us to try to get our concrete specific message into the high school. So we launched that in 23, and we had about 10 schools, high schools across the state that signed up, and we hosted a statewide competition. Project for the students at the end of this curriculum is to design and build their own miniature concrete skate park, which it's very hands-on, and it gives them some sense of the challenge of building things rather than just going to the skate park and skating. You have an appreciation for what it took to get that from the drawing board to reality. So we had, I think, 3 schools that entered that first competition. It was great, really motivating for the kids. And so we've continued to push that out a number of different ways. And this year we've got over 50 schools that have signed up to do this.
So cool.
Literally from one end of the state to the other. We provide a kit to each class that signs up that has the materials they need to build that skate park. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for the teachers to bring this into their classroom. The curriculum itself is all online, and there's no cost to the teacher or the school. And then we are providing the kits. When we do that, we try to line up a local TCA member with that school. We're wanting to develop ongoing relationships between our industry and these high schools. So we have, I think, of those 50 schools that signed up, we've got kits delivered to 25 or 30 of them. You helped us create this really cool map. We've got a pin for every school that signed up. And if that school has a sponsor, the pin is a different color. So I'm really excited about that as well. So this is a message that goes to a class at a time, and it integrates into really any STEM class. It doesn't have to be a construction class because it's going to cover math and science and a little bit of geology. It's concrete oriented, but it teaches a lot of other skills, which is really neat. We have the potential there to reach hundreds of students with a concrete message. And then we also try to drive those students that are interested to Concrete Quest so they can learn more. It's like a funnel. And, the Be Pro, Be Proud is the big end of the funnel. And we get to communicate with those students about the concrete industry. Skate for Concrete's a little bit, maybe middle part of the funnel. And then Concrete Quest is where we're really honing in on trying to get people connected with actual careers. And we've done that on our website. Again, you guys helped us build that. So we've created a student hub section on our website. A student can go there, they can learn about all these programs, and they can also then see who is hiring in their area. We've put connections to the hiring pages of all of our members across the state. So if a student in Knoxville signs up and is interested, they can go find their way to local contractors, ready-mix producers, and see whether or not they're actually hiring.
Yeah. What an opportunity for your members on the Skate for Concrete to sponsor a school, because talk about raising awareness for your company and come work for us. They get to do this super cool project. Then they go learn more on Concrete Quest, and then they remember, oh, that company, are they hiring? And boom, it's a really great funnel. And it really is an innovative and fun and engaging way to get people excited about working in concrete. I do want to shift gears a little bit and get into another Rocket Start partnership you have, and that's with your efforts around DriverDash. And it's not just engaging this new workforce. It's really important to retain and engage your current workforce. And that's where DriverDash comes in. So tell me more about that program and what you're doing there.
That was created, it was an outgrowth of our collaboration with Rocket Start on the Concrete Quest game. And Rocket Start's primary product is they provide this gamification platform to companies in our industry as a way to recognize and reward current employees, and really to try to reward the behaviors that they want. So keeping trucks clean, for example, is a big deal in the concrete industry. So drivers can earn a badge for having a clean truck. And a lot of companies will tie those badges. If you earn a badge, that converts to points, which are essentially dollars that you can spend online. So it's part of their compensation program. So thinking about that and thinking about the huge need that every industry has to keep the good people you've already recruited. So you think about everything we've been talking about's a recruitment strategy, and it's long-term. We're talking to high schoolers, and even if they're seniors and they graduate, it's a year, 2 years, 3 years before they are going to come to the workforce. You've already got your existing workforce, and because of this overall shortage in the labor market, it's pretty easy for people to move around today. And we certainly saw that during the pandemic. It's moderated a little bit, but it's not going away. In fact, I think the numbers tell us it's going to get worse. So not only do we have to, and this is hard for an industry like concrete and construction. I've been in this industry my entire life, used to be in the ready-mix business. I hired people. I had folks that worked for me. I never had to recruit anybody. They showed up at the door wanting a job, and I had my pick. That's in the distant past, and that's not going to reoccur. But businesses are still stuck.
Yeah.
So look, that they have to go out and recruit, and they have to start at the high school or maybe the middle school level. That's sometimes a tough sell. People are still trying to wrap their heads around that. I credit my board with supporting what we're doing because it is a long-term play, a little difficult to measure in the short term. But then you turn around and look at your workforce that you have, which you already have a large investment in them. And I don't know, I guess it's human nature, but we tend to not appreciate what we already have. And that's absolutely true with employees. And anybody who's been an employer or a hirer of people, I guarantee you've experienced this. You had somebody good, they got a better offer, they left, you didn't keep them, saying, I can replace them. And then you ran into the reality when you tried to replace them that you realized that you were most likely underpaying them, first of all, and now you're mad. But if you're going to replace them, you have to fast forward into the future. And this is not just a concrete thing, it's every industry. So we're trying to help our members start down that path of recognizing and appreciating the people that they already have. And DriverDash is a way to do that. So what we did with DriverDash is we selected, I think, 10 badges that would be common to any ready-mix producer, whether they're a large company or an international company, because we have all of those in our industry and in the state of Tennessee. We also designed it to be light overhead in terms of what's required to get your drivers in the game. So we've got right now 3 companies. They've each put 5 drivers in the game. So we have 15 drivers. And TCA, we, the association, we subsidize those first 5 drivers. It's free to any of our members to put their 5 drivers in the game. And what we've seen so far, and we launched it, I think, in June or July, so early days, but with every single one of those employers, they are reporting that, wow, my guys love this. And of course, it's free, so maybe it's easier to love at this point. And TCA is providing cash prizes to the top performers each month based on these 10 badges. But it's also creating some desire, and every one of the companies that are in the game have said, hey, everybody figures out who's in the game. And of course, they know that they're not in the game.
Yep.
And they want in the game. So they're going to their supervisor saying, hey, what can I do to get in the game? I want to compete. So
That's
it's
cool.
a really healthy, friendly competition. The platform lets every driver see how they're doing in relationship to the other drivers in the games, the drivers from their own company as well as the other companies. And we've got, right now, we cover about half the state geographically with the companies that are in. And I just think it's so positive. You're recognizing the behaviors that you want your drivers to display: on time, being willing to work overtime, keeping your trucks clean, all those things that you want more of. You're recognizing that and rewarding that. And it's creating this desire among the crews. Everybody wants to get better. It's a positive reinforcement loop, which is, I think, maybe one of the most powerful things you can ever do. Our big goal for that now is to get more companies in the game. And my vision is to have 100 drivers from all across the state that are in the Dash. And we're going to recognize them at our annual convention. We're going to bring the drivers to the convention, which historically has only been for upper level managers. And I think in a lot of ways, we're seeing a flattening of organizations and a recognition that our frontline people, especially in industries like construction, our frontline people are, without them, there is no industry, there is no company. And I think we have to reverse the way we think about kind of the layers of importance in a company. And we have to elevate the importance of our frontline folks. And so DriverDash that's a lot to ask of any particular program, but those are some of the boxes we're trying to check with DriverDash.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens in 25 and how it continues to grow, because I do think this is a big one. And I'm a big proponent as well of employee retention and being good to your employees, rewarding them and calling them out for what they've done well. And it goes so much further than I think people realize. So I think this will be a great one, and I'm really excited to watch how it plays out. You touched on it a little, but I'm going to ask you to look into the crystal ball and these programs. In your ideal world, 5 years and 10 years from now, what have they done? What is the impact they've had, and what are you hoping to see?
I would hope that we are able to point to specific individuals who are now working for member companies that heard about us through one of our programs, Be Pro, Be Proud, Concrete Quest. We've closed the loop from getting our message out there. I call it telling our story. We have a really great story to tell in concrete. And my life, I've been telling that story literally my entire life. But we have to get better at doing that. And that's part of attracting people. But if we can close that loop where we've told our story, we've got some interest, and now we have people working for us, that's a little difficult to track. We'll try to figure out maybe some ways to track that going forward. But that would be a huge indicator of success for me. And then with DriverDash and the retention effort, it's similar. We don't have any metrics. I don't have Tennessee specific metrics for what our current retention rate is. I know that nationally there is a survey that's done, and we typically lose more drivers every year than we hire as an industry. And again, I don't think we're unique in that. So if we hire 30,000 drivers, which is close to the real number every year across the country, but we also lose 30,000. So what if we could change that dynamic? Instead of having to hire 30,000, what if we could keep more so we don't need 30,000? Those are big dollars and cents numbers to companies. I think a lot of our folks have never thought about the economics of that, so we're trying to educate a little bit on that. But if we could see our retention rate in Tennessee go up, that people are coming and sticking with their companies and sticking with our industry, that would be a big indicator of success, certainly for DriverDash.
Yeah, that's a great vision. I love it. One thing too for next year I want to touch on is we've been working together to roll out this concrete influencers program. And I'd love for you to hit on what is this initiative going to look like and how do you see that we're contributing to workforce goals as well?
Concrete influencers is, I guess, a little bit of a play on the influencer culture that's grown up around social media. And I'll admit that I'm not quite sure I understand all of that. Don't quite understand why it's so popular. It's, I guess what I don't understand is why people would pay money to listen to influencers, but I guess that's a different topic.
It's a whole nother podcast.
Well, but it illustrates the importance. It goes back to telling your story. And so I'm a storyteller. That's actually, it's not specifically written in my job description, but I think it's a big part of my job responsibility. And I enjoy doing that. But we need more storytellers across the industry. We came up with this concrete influencers to give it the program a name. So what we're going to try to do is recruit, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 people. There's not a hard and fast number, but we want to get a cross section of people from our industry, mostly younger people, although there's not really an age restriction. And we want to give them an opportunity to tell their concrete story. And I think that's, again, more powerful than we realize. So you're scrolling through whatever social media you use and you see somebody that's maybe your age or some similarity there. You decide to listen to them and you get to hear their concrete story. What they say in their own words is great about working in the concrete industry. And we're going to kick that off of our annual convention in February. You guys will help us do that. We're going to try to capture those stories. And then at least initially, we're going to use social media to try to spread those stories. And we're hoping to do that 2 or 3 times a year. We're not going to script out what people say. We want them to talk in their own words, but we're going to maybe give them some guidelines about how did you get into the industry? And then the next series of posts may be, why do you stay in the industry, or what do you enjoy? It's just an organized effort to help us tell our story more effectively.
Yeah, I love it. Closing out here, for associations that are looking for ways to connect these younger audiences and build this future workforces for their member companies, what are the top lessons or advice that you would share based on your experience with these programs so far?
I'd almost say the old Nike saying, just do it.
Yes.
I think sometimes we spend way too much time planning, thinking, scheming, whatever. And that's important. You need to have some kind of plan. You need to try some things. You need to realize that this is an experiment for most of us. And the most powerful feedback you're going to get is from what's successful and what's not. We've been fortunate to see the things we launched this year get traction pretty quickly. That's a really good indication that we're on the right track. And we're committed to learning from what we're doing. And if we need to make some tweaks, and we've already done some of that, then we will. But you have to try something. And I think we went through a period of time where one of the conventional wisdom of the day was to fail fast. We heard that a lot in the early internet days. There are some issues with that, I think, but I do think there's also there's a lot of truth to that. Try something, see if it works. If it doesn't work, discard it and find something that does work. And what works will differ certainly from industry to industry. And I think the other piece of that, which is perhaps in some ways more difficult, is as you're doing that, you will get information about why people don't want to work in your industry. And if you talk to people who have left your industry, even if you're not doing formal exit interviews, a lot of companies do that today, but listen to what people say and then make some changes. And so this is where it really gets hard. I can't make changes inside my members' companies. They have to do that themselves. But until you recognize that you are part of the problem, especially if you have a lot of turnover, that's not people. That's not the millennials, as we've been so fond of saying, or the Gen Zers not wanting to work. That is not what it is. The problem is you. People don't work for you for a reason. Figure that out and then fix it. Now that's easy to say and hard to do, but we're trying to coach our industry, our members, to do that as we're doing this recruiting. We want to use that as a tool to get better so that we're more attractive, so that people want to come, and once they get here, they'll want to stay.
Yeah. Amen to all of that. That is so spot on. And I'm always so appreciative of your vision and your insights. And I know this will be so helpful for our listeners to hear what you've shared here today. Before we let you go, though, we like to wrap up every podcast with some fun questions to let our audience get to know you on a more personal level. So, easy question to start off with. Where did you grow up?
In rural Eastern Kentucky.
Awesome. What is your Starbucks order or go-to morning drink routine if you're not a Starbucks fan?
It used to be a triple cappuccino with skim milk, and now it's pretty much a black coffee. But it is at Starbucks, and I'm there frequently.
Yes. All right. If you won the lottery tomorrow, would you still work?
Yes, I really think I would. I really have a passion for what we're doing, and while it would be nice to win the lottery, and I'm sure I'd do some things differently, I would still work. And I'm getting pretty close to retirement, and that's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do is think about, what am I going to do after I retire? Because I'm not looking to, and I'm having trouble answering that question. I love what I do today, and it's fun. And so if I won the lottery, I'd still be doing what I do and hopefully still making a positive contribution.
That does not surprise me with you at all. Instead, what is the last show that you've binge watched?
We've really gotten into streaming at our house. I don't have cable TV anymore. We enjoy Yellowstone, but a lot of people do.
Good one.
So we binge watched it a couple of years ago, and now we're waiting for the episodes to drip out for the conclusion. We're excited about that. In terms of genres that I would watch, I like science fiction, things that are future oriented. I haven't binge watched all the old Star Trek episodes, but I could see that happening at some point.
Yes. Awesome. What's a food you can't live without?
Is coffee a food? Because
There we go.
it's my first answer.
Too funny.
Maybe popcorn.
Oh yeah, you can't not have popcorn. That's a good one. All right, I know you've got to travel some pretty cool places, but what is your bucket list travel destination?
Interesting you would ask that question. We have enjoyed for many years going to the national parks, and we've done a lot of travel in the West and Southwest. We do that almost every year. But I just bought on our last trip, I bought one of these water bottles that has all 63 of the national parks, and you can put a sticker on there for each one you visited. And I was a little disappointed that I'm about halfway through. I thought maybe I've been to more. So that's my bucket list. Is that
Awesome.
that
You got
water
some work to
bottle.
do that.
Wow.
Yes.
So I've got to get busy on that, but we enjoy traveling, love the outdoors. It's absolutely amazing, the beauty that exists in our country and obviously other places in the world. But that's my short-term bucket list is I want to put stickers, fill that water bottle completely up. So
I love it. That's awesome. Alan, thank you again. I so appreciate you joining us on the A100 today.
you are very welcome. Thank you.
That's a wrap for today's episode. The Association 100 Podcast is a production of Onward and Upward Marketing and Communications, where our mission is to make associations and nonprofits the go-to source in their industries through earned media and thought leadership. This podcast is an extension of the A100 newsletter, a bi-monthly collection of best practices, top trends, helpful ideas, and smart strategies delivered straight to your inbox. Have you undertaken a big change at your association, or do you have some words of wisdom for the trenches of association life? We want to hear from you, and so do our listeners. Drop us a note at info@onwardupward.com. That's info@onwrdupwrd.com. If you like what you heard today, be sure to subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and share with your friends and colleagues. We're available anywhere podcasts are found. Come back next week for more association inspiration and insights. Thanks for tuning in.